Well, definitely, Lord of the Rings, the cinematic appeal that it has is just one of a kind.
Yeah.
I still go back to it over and over again, and it still seems as fresh. I mean, it is visual storytelling at its best. So, be it the books or any of the screen adaptations that have been made, I feel like they're so engrossing and they just captivate you, take you into another world. And I feel like that quality is something I find most enchanting. Yeah, now that we've seen the teaser, the trailer, the preview, I really can't wait. I think it is stunning. As an audience, I'm just waiting, and I think it's going to be amazing.
The kind of stuff that I aspire for, it does something in my cells. It's a visual extravaganza meeting great content. And I'm just excited and thrilled that I'm going to be able to watch The Middle Ages on Prime Video on 2nd September. I also have a little tale to tell,
Okay.
if I may.
Please.
There's a little connection between me and the Lord of the Rings that I don't think anybody knows. And I recall this morning. So one random day back in 2004, my dad put on the Lord of the Rings Part 1, saw the film, couldn't stop, saw Part 2, couldn't stop, saw Part 3. And then he gave me a call, and he was just talking about the way they've used this one great, incredible idea, and then progressed and had this progression which was so incredible. And why can't we do that? So I said, okay, yeah, what are you talking about? And he said, why can't we take Koi Mil Gaya, which is one of our previous films, and have a progression and build on that? And that was the birth of Krish.
Wow.
So if there was no Lord of the Rings, there'd be no Krish. So I'm going to take this opportunity to give my little thanks to the Lord of the Rings for making Krish happen.
Awesome.
So I came to Tolkien by way of the Peter Jackson films. I saw them first when I was in my early 20s. And they were one of the few films that came out when I was an adult that got into my heart the way that films used to when I was a kid. And from there, I did the deep dive and read all the books and got super into it. And now they've woven themselves into the fabric of my life. Very rare does a day go by that I don't reference something happening in my life by way of Lord of the Rings, saying I feel like Frodo carrying the ring today, or when weddings or funerals come along, Tolkien quotes always make their way into my toasts or eulogies. So Tolkien is just part of my soul.
I can see the passion, and it shows in your work. And you have your incredible cast here with you.
Oh, they're absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for
incredible.
you to meet them.
I've always believed that casting is one of the most difficult aspects of filmmaking. How was this process for you? How difficult was it for you?
Well, so we knew we had to get this right. The story we're telling is an amazing story. It's Tolkien's untold story of the Second Age. So we're telling the story of the forging of the Rings of Power, the rise of the Dark Lord Sauron, the fall of Numenor, and finally the last alliance of elves and men. And so to be able to bring that really to life, we knew we needed a cast that was really special. And so we had really two criteria for our cast. And one, they had to be amazing performers, but two, they had to have Middle-earth in them. You had to look in their eyes and feel like they could have stepped out of a magical portal and been from Middle-earth transported to our world. So we auditioned hundreds and hundreds of people for every single role and found 22 needles in 22 haystacks.
That's incredible. How long was the process?
Quite a long time. I mean, it took basically a year to find our entire cast.
That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. And is this the first time that you're working with Amazon Studios?
Yes.
What was that experience like?
Amazing. So Amazon decided that they wanted to put on this enormous adaptation of Tolkien, and they had a huge ambition, and our ambition matched their appetite for what they wanted to do. They went out and got the rights to it, and then they basically said it's a wide open field, and so they opened it up to Hollywood to say, like, who has an idea for how they'd like to take this material and tell a story. And my partner and I came in and pitched a way in, and they got excited about it, and since then they have been incredibly supportive. They've given every resource necessary to realize Tolkien's imagination on the grandest scale possible.
Love playing Bronwyn because she is so multifaceted. She's, as you said, a healer, a single mother to a rebellious teenage son played by Tyro, in a forbidden romance with an elf Arondir who is tasked with watching over the Southlanders. I play a Southlander who historically her ancestors chose the wrong side. They chose evil over good, and she's trying very hard to redeem them. What I love about her is that she is very resilient and strong, as you said, as well as nurturing. And I was going to be a doctor before I started acting. I have a degree in biology, so that side of her, the healing side, resonates with me. But also her determination to redeem her people and to liberate them from the forces of evil of their past, the shackles of their past, really resonates with me as an activist, because I'm a long-time activist for my homeland, Iran, human rights activist. And women in Iran and in many places in the world are at the forefront of the move towards democracy, freedom, and human rights. And so that's where I drew inspiration.
I think this is kind of big for everyone, because it's not every day you get to work on The Lord of the Rings, which is huge. But, thank you to JD for entrusting me with the role, given my inexperience, I guess you could say. But no, I think the whole cast has been really, really, really supportive and, have really taken me under their wing, especially Nas. I was very, very nervous and anxious. I came from working on sets with like 5 people as the crew to hundreds. And, it was very, very overwhelming. But, with J.A. and, Wayne and Charlotte and Nas, Ismail, Ian, everyone that I worked with just made me feel so comfortable and helped me do my job, which is ultimately the most important thing. And yeah, I went from Perth to Mumbai in front of all these beautiful people, and I'm here. And yeah, how's it going, everyone?
Yes, Elendil, who is, as we see him at the beginning of the series, he's a sea captain, very capable man, but he's been widowed and he's trying to deal with his grieving adult children, 2 of whom are present here in Maxim and Emma, as you say. And he's a very well-known character in the Legendarium, and many fans of the movies would have seen him in brief. But if you read the books, he's referred back to a lot, and he's a sort of hero archetype. And he's very dear to a lot of the fans' hearts for that reason, because of his ultimate self-sacrifice at the end during the alliance of elves and men, where he dies in the act of trying to defeat Sauron. So, but again, rather like Charles was saying about Celebrimbor, there are only these sort of limited signposts along the way that Tolkien gives us. So there's this great sort of responsibility and privilege and excitement to be able to fill out those gaps. And where we see him at the very beginning is this one. Tolkien's Atlantis is Numenor, the island of Numenor, where Elendil comes from, and at this point in the story, Numenor is at its absolute peak, but it's right on the precipice between a sort of more nationalist side of the island, which feels they need an independence from the elves, and a more faithful side. And Elendil is very much torn between those 2 parts of society, between his head and his heart. His head is rational, pragmatic, trying to keep his family safe, and his heart is drawn towards the faithful. And something of the schism in that society is also reflected deep in the family within his children, so that there's a lot for him to deal with at the beginning. And I'm very excited to chart this man through that journey. So yeah, I'm very, very privileged and very excited to be here.